Okay, good morning.
But
Before I call the meeting to order, I'd like to note for the record that I will serve as acting chairman for our meeting this morning. Anthony, thanks for joining us. Derek, thanks for being here. I'll now call to order the meeting of the directors of New York State Urban Development Corporation, doing business as Empire State Development for Thursday, November 20th, 2014. Happy November. The directors have received the written materials in advance of this meeting. They're free to ask questions at any time. As noted on the agenda posted to the Internet, we welcome public comment on the items of the following agenda. To assure maximum opportunity for participation, speakers representing themselves may speak for up to 2 minutes each, and those representing groups may speak for up to 4 minutes, one speaker per group, please. Speakers' comments may address only items considered at today's meeting. Before we begin with the substantive portion of the meeting, I would like to ask the directors whether anyone has any potential conflict of interest with respect to any of the items on today's agenda.
Nope.
If so, I would like to ask you to please make an appropriate disclosure on the record at this time. We will then be sure that you may recuse yourselves from any discussion or vote with regard to such item or items. So let me pause and see Anthony, myself, Mr. Cephas. Good. Thank you. In order to accommodate the various schedules and to ensure that the meeting runs smoothly, I'm going to take the agenda out of order at this time. I'm going to take certain things out of order just to move quickly because of time constraints that we have today. And so I would like to ask for a motion, please, to conduct an executive session pursuant to paragraphs D and F of Section 105 of the New York State Open Meetings Law. Specifically, we will discuss and consider authorizing ESD to participate in mandatory mediation in accordance with the requirements of the Southern District of New York Civil Rule 83.9 in connection with Vinson versus HCDC. So, may I have a motion, please, to move to executive session? So moved. Is there a second?
Can't second my own motion.
I'll second it.
Otherwise I would.
All right, so I'm going to second it, then what we'll do now is go into an executive session. Colin, will you do the honors, please? I will now note for the record that no votes were taken during the executive session. Now may I have a motion on item 7A. The number before. We're doing it right now. As presented and considered in the executive session. And so now, Derek, I'll ask for a motion.
So moved.
Thank you very much. Is there a second? Thank you, Anthony. All right, so we've now moved the motion, or the item that was presented or discussed in the executive session, correct? All right, thank you. I will now ask for a motion to approve the minutes of our October 16th, 2014 meeting.
Moved.
Are there any questions, comments, additions, deletions with regard to the minutes? It sounds like they're not. Anthony, is everybody good with the minutes?
Yes.
Then I'll ask for a motion for their approval. Good.
Moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Anthony, can I get your second again for the approval of the minutes, please?
Sure. Second.
Thank you very much. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no opposition, the minutes are approved. Thank you. I'll now ask the directors to approve the appointment of Edward Hamilton, who has joined us, come down from Albany, 160 miles to the north.
Just in time, huh?
Just in time. On a very, actually very important moment for us here, for our board. We're going to, I would ask you to approve the appointment of Edward Hamilton, to the Office of Senior Vice President Administration at ESD. Again, Ed, thanks for coming down this morning. I think directors know of Ed's good work over many years on many administrative matters, which over time have expanded well beyond Albany, really to sort of statewide administrative challenges we see every day. Ed has done a terrific job. He's a great colleague, and we're very pleased to present his promotion to you all this morning. Are there any questions or comments from directors with regard to this item? Any comments to the public? Anybody want any public comments about Edward Hamilton? Ed, you didn't bring your fan club this morning, I can tell. If not, I will entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Well, I'll second it. I want to second that one because of my fondness of Ed. Thank you very much, Anthony. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Yeah. All right. Very good.
I'm in favor. It was unanimous.
It was unanimous, Ed, as it should be. Your promotion and your joining the ranks of the officers of the corporation. We thank you very much for your great service, Ed, and for joining us this morning. And thank you, fellow directors, for approving that. Now, I will ask Edwin Lee to please present a brief summary of the project on today's agenda. And if I move a little quickly, it's because we don't have unlimited time. Mr. Cephas has another engagement, so we're going to try and get as much done as we can while Derek is still here. Edwin, good morning.
Ken.
Yes.
Sorry, this is Anthony. I also have another engagement at 11. I don't know if that, with Derek and I, if that presents an issue.
We're gonna move as quickly as we can, and I think we can get a lot done in the next hour. So, but thank you for reminding me of that.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks for your help. Edwin, do you want to give us the summary of today's agenda?
Sure. Thank you. Good morning again. Today, the directors are requested to consider funding for 49 discretionary projects. Please note that a number of projects today are funded with multiple sources. Today's funding sources include one Downstate Revitalization Fund grant for $2 million, two New York Works grants totaling $6 million, one Economic Development Purposes Fund grant for $200,000, 23 Entrepreneurial Assistance Program grants totaling $2,024,000, 27 Office of New Americans grants totaling $81,000, and 22 Community Development Financial Institution grants totaling $1,795,000. In addition, there are 6 Regional Council Award projects, including 2 Empire State Economic Development Fund grants totaling $530,000, 3 Regional Council Capital Fund grants totaling $2,836,000, and 1 Urban and Community Development Program grant for $250,000. These projects will take place across all 10 New York State regions and will leverage over $140 million of additional investment, retain 1,644 jobs, and create 706 jobs. Thank you.
Edwin, thank you very much. We're going to start with Mike Ball. Mike, are you there this morning?
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Glad that you're at least available on the phone, because I imagine you're surrounded by tons of snow. You're going to present the Ford stamping plant New York Works item for our consideration, correct?
That's right.
Good. Thank you.
Great. So the directors are requested to approve a $5 million capital grant from the New York Works program to the Ford Motor Company. As you know, Ford is headquartered in Dearborn, Michigan, and is one of the largest manufacturers of automobiles and commercial vehicles in the world, producing products under the Ford brand and luxury cars under the Lincoln brand. The Buffalo stamping plant in Hamburg is one of Ford Motor Cars' stamping plants in North America, one of the only standing stamping plants, which produces doors, quarter panels, hoods, and centers for Ford's F-250 and F-350 trucks, passenger vehicles including the Flex, Edge, and Focus, and the Lincoln MXX and MKT. The $101 million project involved renovations including the upgrading of tooling and adding new lines to provide stampings and welding sheet metal assemblies for the 2015 Edge program and the 2015 F-150 at the Ford stamping plant in Hamburg. The project consisted of design, build, and installation of automation and support for several press lines, new assembly lines, and manufacturing aids. The project will retain 650 jobs through January 2018 and allow the Buffalo stamping plant to remain open, competitive, and viable for future production growth. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Mike, thank you very much. Any questions from directors with regard to this item? Any questions or comments from the public on the project, this important project Mike's presented? Hearing none, I'll ask please for a motion for its approval.
Move.
Thank you. Is there a second? Yes, second. We don't seem to have Anthony on the TV screen right now.
Sorry, second.
Anthony, great. Well, as long as you can hear us and see us, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no opposition, the motion carries. Great project, Mike. Thank you so much, and stay warm and dry up in Western New York. Good luck with the weather. We're going to move over to the Finger Lakes office in Rochester and check in with Ed Mazinski. Good morning, Ed.
Good morning, Kenneth, and board members.
You've got a Xerox project for our consideration, and again, I'd ask you just to give us, if you can, kind of a high-level and or relatively brief description of the project because we're pressed for time today.
Okay. This is a $1 million capital grant to a Xerox subsidiary, Xerox Commercial Solutions, LLC, or XCS, for the construction, renovation, and equipping of a call center in Webster, New York. XCS provides business process outsourcing and IT-related outsourcing. As you know, Xerox is a well-known publicly traded corporation. It began in Rochester, maintains a significant presence in the region, being the fourth largest employer. In 2010, Xerox acquired a worldwide company as part of its expansion into business services. That company was called Affiliated Computer Services. When Xerox made the acquisition, it had many options to locate an inbound customer support call center for a major telecommunications company, later identified as Verizon. It had 10 out-of-state facilities it considered. It culled it to 4 out-of-state facilities plus the Webster, New York location. Xerox approached ESD. We provided this $1 million capital grant and also $5 million in Excelsior tax credits. And those were a critical part of Xerox's decision-making to locate this project here in our state. The project will retain 70 jobs, create 500 new jobs, and this subsidiary, XCS, has already exceeded that, having created 545 new jobs. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Ed, thank you. That's well described, and obviously for the Finger Lakes area and Rochester in particular, a very important project. Any questions from directors on this project in Rochester that Ed has presented?
Sounds good.
Very good. Any questions or comments from the public on this item? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve it, please.
Moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Anthony, all in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, motion carries. And Ed, your project is approved. Thank you very much, and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
All right. Have a great day.
Thank
Now,
you.
we're going to get down to Long Island and check in with Barry Greenspan. Good morning, Barry. Barry runs our Long Island office these days, as everyone knows, since Andrea Lonice moved to Southern California over the summer. He's going to present the Town of Babylon Downtown Revitalization Fund for our consideration. Good morning, Barry.
Good morning, Kenneth. Good morning, Director.
Ken, excuse me?
Yes.
Ken?
Yeah.
This is Anthony. I think I should be recused from this. Would that be okay if I stepped out of the room for this one?
Yes, that's fine. Thank you, Anthony.
I'll come back in 2 minutes, okay?
Yep. And if you come in too soon, we can contact you or call you, and we'll get you back in when it's appropriate.
Okay, thanks very much.
Yeah.
Okay, good morning, all. The directors are being asked to approve a $2 million grant to the Town of Babylon for the construction of a sewer line connecting the Wyandanch Central Business District to the Southwest Sewer District. Wyandanch is in the western part of Suffolk County and has suffered for decades from high poverty rates, high crime, and lack of business investment. One of the critical issues preventing development in Wyandanch was the lack of sewers. This project started when the town applied to ESD in 2009 for a downstate revitalization grant to support $17 million in sewer expansion capacity. This would enable future businesses to invest in Wyandanch. The extension of a sewer line through Wyandanch acts in essence like a spine for future development, and that's exactly what happened in Wyandanch. Although this project predated regional councils, the CSD investment in sewers have made possible a string of regional council awards starting in 2011 that has resulted in marked improvements in the Wyandanch community. In July of 2013, ground was broken on 2 mixed-use buildings totaling 177 residential units and nearly 35,000 square feet of retail space. In 2013, Wyandanch was also selected by the Regional Council as the region's Opportunity Agenda community, making it possible to fund additional projects and initiatives for Wyandanch. In your board materials, you'll find a photograph of the pre-construction street as well as the resulting mixed-use development that is very soon to open, as soon as January. In addition, a dedicated Regional Council work group called the Opportunity Agenda supports Wyandanch and focuses on the community's needs and the economic development needs of Wyandanch. Their major focus has been on workforce training. The $2 million grant from ESD's Downstate Revitalization Program for the sewer extension made possible future additional developments, and we are requesting the board's approval to disperse the $2 million grant for reimbursement of over $17 million in project costs. Thank you, and I'll take any questions.
Barry, thank you. Very well described, and the pictures in the board materials are certainly helpful to see as well. It's a terrific project that we brought before the board, aspects of which we brought before the board before. Any questions or comments from directors with regard to this item as Barry has so helpfully presented? Any comments from the public with regard to this item? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion for its approval.
Moved.
Thank you. I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion carries. Project is approved. The grant is approved, Barry, and congratulations to you and all the folks involved in this project in Wyandanch. You're welcome. Now we're going to head up to the Mohawk Valley and check in with Ken Tompkins, the director of our Mohawk Valley office in downtown Utica. He's got the Munson Machinery Economic Development Purposes Fund item for our consideration. Good morning, Ken.
Good morning, everyone. Munson Machinery is a 191-year-old manufacturer of mixing machinery, founded in 1823 and located in the city of Utica on the south side. If it needs to be mixed or it can be mixed, they make the machine for it. They came to Empire State Development in the summer of 2013, describing an opportunity that they wanted to capture. They sell their materials nationally and internationally, but particularly the Environmental Protection Agency had announced new guidelines for coal power plant emission standards. As it happened, they had a piece of machinery they thought would be very appropriate for use, and they wanted to expand and capture that opportunity. So the directors are being asked to approve a $200,000 grant for a project that allowed the company to build a new bay on its facility in South Utica and to install some additional machinery. The total project cost was $1.74 million. The company will retain 38 existing jobs and create 12 new jobs. In fact, they have already created 3 of those. And the actual expansion, which began in December 2013, has been completed. So they are up, running, and expanding their business.
Terrific story of a great company, and I don't know why I thought we had, maybe in the board prep section we saw some pictures, but thank you very much, Ken, for walking us through it. Let me ask Anthony and Derek if they've got any questions about this Munson Machinery Company project. Well then, let me ask if there are any questions or comments from the public. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion, please, to approve the item.
Move.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Anthony, thank you for seconding. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any opposition? Hearing none, motion carries. The grant is approved. Ken, for your helpful description. We appreciate that very much. We thank you and we congratulate you.
Thank you very much, Kenneth, and thank you, directors.
I think you're going to have to put us on mute. Keep the call line clear, because I know you're coming back with another item later in today's agenda.
Will do.
We will now turn to our colleague here in New York City, Joyce Smith, to present an item for our consideration. This is we do this every, I guess, November, certainly every year at the end of the year, the EAP program. This is our statewide entrepreneurial assistance program, and Joyce is going to update us for 2013.
Okay, good morning, Ken.
Good morning.
The directors are requested to approve grants to totaling $2,024,000 to 23 community-based organizations for the continued operation of the Entrepreneurial Assistance Program, or EAP. Each organization would receive a grant in the amount of $88,000, which they must match 100% with in-kind or cash. The grant funds are generally used for salaries, branch, consultant services, and other program-related expenses. In the 2014 EAP contract year, the program served 1,500 clients, helped 478 businesses increase sales by $26 million, facilitated the start of 169 businesses, helped 250 businesses increase employment by 743 employees, and helped secure $7.1 million in financing for 192 businesses. As a result of the great work the program does, An additional $81,000 has been approved from the Department of State. ESD entered into a contract with the Department of State's Office of New American Centers to co-teach a Starting Your Business seminar. Introduced by Governor Cuomo last year, ONA provides specialized services to new Americans such as assistance with learning the English language, the nationalization process, legal services, job skills, business development, and other services. 19 of the 23 EAP centers will co-teach a Starting Your Own Business seminar. Each will receive a grant in the amount of $1,500 per ONA assigned per year for 2 years. EAP started working with ONA centers in April of this year and have already completed 65 seminars with 824 new Americans in attendance. EAP also supports the governor's initiative to increase MWBE participation by continuing to provide support services in the preparation, completion, and submission of certification applications, and support for procurement of contracts. With the assistance of EAP centers in 2014, MWBE's completed 108 certification applications, increased sales by $16.3 million, secured $3.1 million in financing, and increased employment by 483 employees. It is through these ongoing services that we expect continued growth in sales and jobs for the New York State. Thank you.
It's very well done. Thank you. It's just great that you have so much very specific data about the accomplishments of each one of the 23 centers. I know that's a lot of work to collect all that information and to compile it into a report like this, but it tells a very clear story of the work that the centers do all across the state, helping people start businesses, helping people get business technical assistance, helping people get certified as MWBEs. And so congratulations again on all that. I know we lost a center. We went from 24 to 23, right?
Yeah, Orange County opted out.
Right. But I'm sure you'll find a substitute in the new year. Anyway, very good and very, very helpful, and it's certainly understood that we are being asked to consider, funding for the new year. Let me ask the directors if there are any questions that they have on the item as Joyce has presented it. Very good. I'll ask if there are any comments from the public about the EAP program and Joyce's proposal. Hearing none, then let's move to see if we can get a motion for its approval.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Cephas. Is there a second? Well, I'll second it. I like the second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, motion carries. Joyce, and thank you again for your report, for a great year of work. And we all look forward to working with you in the new year as these centers continue to provide so much assistance to so many, especially in this affiliation with ONA, the Office of New Americans, for immigrant startup business owners, other business owners, just all across the board. It's very, very helpful. So thank you. Great. Now, we are going to ask Marion Samuels to present the statewide Community Development Financial Institutions Assistance Program for our consideration. Another tool, in this case a financing tool, with which we provide assistance across the state to small businesses. Marion, good morning.
Good morning. The directors are requested to authorize $1,795,000 in funding for the New York State Community Development Financial Institutions Assistance Program to support financial and technical assistance to minority and women-owned businesses and small businesses alike. Since 1997, ESD has provided over $23 million in funding in grants to CDFIs statewide. Funding is used towards loan capital, loan loss reserve, institutional capacity, technical assistance, and administrative costs. The programs attempt to bridge the gap in assisting MWBEs and small businesses that are traditionally unable to secure capital. In 2013, from our reports from the CDFIs, they closed over $63 million in loans and provided 21,000 businesses with lending capital. Through our RFP process, ESD generally solicits organizations to respond as individual applicants. Last year, we recognized that there was a small slew of organizations that actually could partner. So we asked them to partner to strengthen the gap. By doing so, as a result of 2014, in this recent RFP, 24 organizations submitted proposals. Today's request is for 22 organizations to receive funding. Two sets of organizations will partner in this funding round. Our general amount and will be awarded $50,000 to $160,000 to these organizations will be awarded this round. Selection process includes strength of the proposals, the degree of economic distress in the community service area, successful track record over the years that we've worked with these organizations, and a record of strong lending capacity. And just to note, this year, in March of 2014, we went to the board beforehand and offered to 18 organizations the opportunity to go forward with new funding, and 2 organizations actually partnered. As a result of that, they projected and supported the commitment. $900,000 was awarded to 50 small businesses during that time. Thank you.
Marion, the partnerships you described, this would be Acciona in partnership with Canva?
Yes.
And Alternative Federal Credit Union in partnership with Syracuse Cooperative Federal Credit Union?
Correct.
Yeah, that's very clear because they get the larger amounts of money since their awards are combined.
Yes.
Great. That's very helpful. Interesting to see if in the future we get more of those joint ventures, you know?
Actually, what they did, I think they were a little reluctant because the amount of money that we had, and they didn't want to combine the resources.
Right.
So they actually elected to go individually. However, a hidden agenda, they will be working together. There is one organization that will piggyback and take smaller grants and work with another organization that will do larger grants.
Right.
Well, not grants, but loans.
Loans, right. Yeah. Good. Good. Well, again, it's a good message to them that we want to see them cooperate and be efficient, right?
Yes.
And frankly, something like Acciona and Canva organizations I personally know well. I mean, that's a good match, right? I'm not so familiar. Very good. Let me ask if there are questions from directors on this item, our CDFI support, as presented by Marion this morning. Any questions or comments from the public? If not, I'll entertain, please, a motion for its approval.
Moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
I wanted Anthony to second this one because, as our representative on behalf of Ben Losky at Department of Financial Services, it's just good for the record to have DFS say yes, since these guys are the banking regulators. Thank you, Anthony. All in favor? Aye. Help me out. Good. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion carries. Marion, excellent presentation. Regards to our friend and colleague Steve Cohen, who we know is away at a conference, and we'll let him know that in his absence you did a terrific job. So thanks for joining us this morning. All right. We're going to go to, we're really bouncing all over the state in no, sort of geographic order, and it's not like we're trying to avoid the snowfall in western New York. We'll probably get back there later, but for the moment we're going to stop off in Watertown and check in with John Vandeloo at our North Country Regional Office that's in Watertown. Of course, that region so big has 2. We've got an office in Plattsburgh as well. Good morning, John.
Hi, Kenneth. Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear. Would you please present the Bombardier mass transit item for our consideration?
Correct. Thank you, Kenneth. The directors are asked to approve a grant of up to $2.5 million to be used for a portion of the cost of construction and purchase of machinery at Bombardier Mass Transit in Plattsburgh. The project is for the construction of a 57,000 square foot building, upgrade to the welding robot, and expansion of test facility by 2,100 square feet. This is a priority project of the North Country and consistent with the regional plan to support existing manufacturing operations and assist job creators. The Bombardier Mass Transit has already created 100 jobs to meet their current employment goal of 388. This is for subway and mass transit rail car manufacturing. Bombardier management determined the need to expand and upgrade the Plattsburgh facility to provide for future growth and meet production demands resulting from increased sales of its rail cars used in public transit systems. Bombardier planned, designed, obtained permits, and constructed the 57,000 square foot facility. The expansion project will increase productive capacity by 40% and increase production flexibility, result in efficiencies and additional cost competitiveness to keep their factory in production. And the additional 100 jobs have already been created. Unless there's any other questions, that's what I have for Bombardier.
Well, that's a very thorough presentation, John. Thank you very much. We've seen some of these important transit projects come before us before. And I'll ask, and this is always obviously very important. John may be reporting in from Watertown, as I stated, but he's describing a project in Plattsburgh. So, may I ask, please, if any directors have any questions at this time about this matter? All right. Any questions or comments from the public on the item? All right. Hearing none, may I please ask for a motion for its approval?
So move.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Anthony, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Good. The motion carries. The project's approved, and this grant, John, that you've presented is approved as you've described it. It's a very important project, and congratulations for moving it forward.
Yes, thanks, Kenneth.
All right.
And
Well done. Say goodnight to Steve and our other colleagues in our North Country office when you have an opportunity.
Yes, I will. Thanks, Kenneth.
All right. Very good. Now, I think you have a second.
That's correct. North
Project
Country
that you're gonna
Cultural
bring us-
Center for the Arts.
Exactly. So this one is also in Plattsburgh. Why don't you present this one as well, please?
All right. Thank you, Kenneth. The directors are asked to approve the grant of up to $250,000 to the North Country Cultural Center for the Arts, also known as the Strand Theater or Strand Theater Project. The grant is for renovations at the Strand Theater and equip the theater with new machinery and equipment, consisting of building renovation and improvements, including job retention and job creation. The total project cost was $1,198,000, and the ESD grant is for $250,000. The North Country Cultural Center for the Arts sought ESD assistance to help finance the renovations and improvements of its historic Strand Theater building. They received $250,000 award from the consolidated funding application process. Without ESD assistance, the project would not be possible. The Strand Theater North Country Cultural Center for the Arts planned, designed, and completed renovations and improvements at the historic Strand Theater, which was built in 1924. The improvements include renovations to basement, new backstage and dressing rooms, new stage curtains, lighting, new rigging, and new media equipment. The theater renovation and installation is complete and now reopened and operating as a performance and cultural arts center with a 1,326-seat auditorium. The project is a quality of life, providing a new venue for cultural entertainment in the Plattsburgh community. Unless there's any questions, Kenneth, that's what I have for the Strand Theater project.
John, thank you. You know, you probably know this because you might have submitted it, but there's a really beautiful photograph in the board materials.
This Swarovski chandelier.
With the chandelier. Yeah, no, it's just fantastic. And I actually toured this site, as some of you know, during the construction phase. It looked nothing like this, so it's very
Exactly.
It's very gratifying to see it complete and know that it's open and providing great cultural events and entertainment to citizens of the North Country. So it's a very important project in the heart of downtown Plattsburgh. John, thank you for your description of it. And I know Rosemary Redmond was the originator. She should be thanked for her good work as well. And I forgot to mention Bill Ferguson, who worked so hard on the Bombardier deal. They should get a shout-out from us, too. In any case, let me ask if any directors have questions about the Strand Theater grant at this time. Are there any comments from the public on this item? Hearing none, I'll ask, please, for a motion for its approval.
Moved.
Thank you, Anthony. Derek has stepped out for a second. I will second it, and let me call a vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Anthony. Motion carries. And John, this grant is therefore approved. to cover these construction costs at the Strand Theater in Plattsburgh. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kenneth, and thanks to everyone down there.
All righty. We're gonna move down to Binghamton and check in with Robin Alpa, who has done a terrific job serving as our acting director of our Southern Tier office, and recently passed the torch to our new director, Bonnie Palmer. But we're always grateful to Robin for his terrific service there, and he's going to present the Bates-Troy Regional Council Award for our consideration. Good morning, Robin.
Good morning. The directors are being requested to approve a grant of $380,000 to Bates-Troy, Inc. for a portion of the cost of machinery and equipment as part of their corporate facility expansion in downtown Binghamton, Broome County. Bates-Troy is a commercial industrial healthcare laundry facility that provides a range of professional services that cater to the regional healthcare industry. Bates-Troy currently has 70 employees and will create 55 new full-time jobs in the city. And this project will also provide important emergency preparedness for regional hospitals and nursing homes through backup energy capabilities to process their commercial laundry. This is a regional council round 2 priority project, and when completed, it will be one of the most energy-efficient commercial laundry processing facilities in the United States. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Robin, thank you. Let me ask directors if they've got any questions on Bates-Troy on this item as Robin has presented it. If not, any questions or comments from the public on the item? Hearing none, I'll ask, and Anthony, I'll need your help here for a motion, please, for its approval.
Moved.
Thank you. I will second it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, motion carries. And Robin, the Bates-Troy project is therefore approved, and congratulations. Lots of good work on this for a very important Southern Tier company.
Thank you very much.
All right. Have a terrific day. We're going to go from downtown Binghamton to the Hudson Valley and check in with our friend and colleague Amy Vargas, who, of course, runs our Mid-Hudson Regional Office, and she's going to do the Colmar Laboratories Regional Council Awards item for our consideration. Good morning, Amy.
Good morning. I'm sorry, I was on mute. So this morning, I am requesting the board to please approve the disbursement of a $250,000 grant to Colmar Laboratories, which is in Port Jervis in Orange County. It is a makeup manufacturer primarily. In 2010, they decided that they would like to expand their product line and penetration in the areas of skincare, dermatology, and plastic surgery products, and therefore came to Empire State Development. This particular company is in a distressed community and employs a number of its residents in that particular community. The Empire State Development provided a grant for furniture, fixtures, and equipment for $250,000. The total project cost on this project was $1.6 million. At that time, we were looking to retain 412 jobs and create another 36 jobs for a total of 448. To date, they have created about a third of their commitment and are on track to fulfill their commitment by 2018. I'm happy to take any questions now.
Amy, thank you very much. It's obviously an important company in Port Jervis. I've been there a couple times with Amy, and this is very important assistance for them as a major employer in the region. Any questions from directors with regard to this item? Any questions or comments from the public regarding this item? All right, thank you. If not, I'll entertain a motion, please, for its approval.
Moved.
Thank you very much, Anthony. I'll second it. Second. All in favor? Aye. Anthony, help me out. Give me an aye.
Aye, sorry.
Right. Derek had to step out. Very good. The motion, therefore, carries. The grant's approved. Project's approved. And congratulations, Amy, not just to your colleagues, but indeed to the Regional Council, for which we know this is a priority.
Yeah,
so thank you, Amy. Have a terrific day. Talk to you soon. Skedaddle back up to Utica. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to check in yet again with our friend and colleague Ken Tompkins, This time he's going to present the Rome Strip Steel Regional Council Award. Back
Thank
to you,
Kenneth. You bet. Thank you, Kenneth and directors. Here again, we have a long-standing company in the Mohawk Valley in the city of Rome. Rome Strip Steel was founded in 1926, 88 years ago. They are one of the last competitors in their business, which is the re-rolling of steels. I think they're the last company in New York that re-rolls steel. And this is used in a number of industries, including the automotive industry, also for such things as bearings and chainsaw chains. They are the directors are asked to consider and approve a grant of up to $150,000 to help this company with a capital investment that will that has allowed it to purchase new machinery and equipment, so the company can increase its production and remain competitive with others in its industry, all of which are located outside of New York. Their project was deemed consistent with Strategy 1 of the Mohawk Valley Regional Economic Development Council, which is to enhance regional concentrations, specifically manufacturing. This project, which will take place at their mill in the city of Rome, will continue to retain. The promise is to retain 129 people. To retain 124 individuals. In fact, current employment is at 129, so they've exceeded that goal by 5 jobs. They have indeed purchased and installed a revamped mill table and other equipment, and they are already completed with this project as of September 13th. Project size $1.58 million, and I can answer any questions you may have.
Ken, thank you. I don't have any further questions about it. It's well presented, and we've talked about it before. I want to know, Anthony, do you have any questions on this item?
I do not.
Well, then I'll ask for a motion for its approval, please. Actually, no, let me pause and ask to see if there are comments or questions from the public on this item. All right, hearing none of that, we'll see, Anthony, if you will help me by making a motion to approve it.
Moved.
I'll second it. All in favor? Aye. Did anybody hear him say?
No.
Hey, help me out there, Anthony. Give me an aye.
Sorry.
It's loud and clear. I appreciate that. Thank you. Therefore,
I can't mumble.
Carries.
I shouldn't be mumbling.
No mumbling. You're on TV. Motion carries. The project's approved. Ken, thank you very much.
Thank you, Kenneth. Thank you, directors.
You're most welcome. And I think now you're probably free to go about your business, having made 2 presentations already. Back here in New York City, we touched base with Edwin Lee. And someone's going to get Mark a bottle of water, please. Because we can't have... You all right?
Yeah, that's fine.
You don't have to put that in. Edwin is going to do the Regional Council Awards Project Consent Calendar for our consideration this morning. Edwin, good morning.
Thank you. Good morning again. The directors are requested to approve an $86,000 grant to the town of Plattsburgh for a portion of infrastructure costs to upgrade its wastewater pump station along Route 3, a roadway that runs through the town of Plattsburgh. The existing pump station had been in need of repair and inadequate to accommodate the town's future growth. The infrastructure upgrade was completed this September, and total project costs were $430,000. The improved water sewer system will help ensure the health and safety of the town and provide growth opportunities as well. And there's also a second project. The second project, the directors are requested to amend a general project plan for the village of Frankfurt that was approved on August 27, 2014. At that meeting, the directors approved a $50,000 grant to the village to renovate commercial storefront facades along the section of Main Street. At the public hearing for the project, speakers suggested that the project location be expanded to include a broader stretch of Main Street to give more businesses an opportunity to apply for these funds. The village agreed that expanding the project location would increase the number of businesses that could participate in the program from 10 to 20 and would be beneficial to the area. ESD staff concurs and requests that the directors amend the general project plan to expand the project location from Main Street from South Lichtfield to Railroad Street to the section of Main Street from Reese Road to Cemetery Street. No additional funds are requested for the project. Thank you.
Edwin, thank you. Examples, both of these, of the regional councils all across the state identifying important infrastructure projects for us to support so that their 5-year economic development plans can be built out. And often you can't attract the private investment until the local governments or local partners have taken care of the local infrastructure. So these make a lot of sense, at least to me. Anthony, any questions?
No questions.
Any questions or comments on the public, from the public with regard to this item, as Edwin has actually both the grants in one, has presented them? Hearing none, I'll wait for, or I'll ask please for a motion for this item's approval.
Moved.
Thank you very much. I'll second it. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Good. The motion carries. Edwin, thank you very much. And congratulations on advancing both those important infrastructure projects on behalf of our regional councils. Glenn McCleary is going to present our November non-discretionary projects consent calendar for our consideration. Good morning, Glenn. Thanks for joining us today.
Good morning, Kenneth, and thank you. This month we have one Senate-sponsored grant. The project involves a $350,000 grant to Rockland Independent Living Center to launch 3 small initiatives. Rockland Independent Living Center facilitates the creation and development of accessible and integrated communities for individuals with disabilities. The organization launched a training center, a call center, and a kiosk to create 20 to 30 jobs to its participants this year. The total project cost is approximately $368,000, and the project is expected to be completed this month. Thank you.
All right, very good. Thank you, Glenn, for presenting that. Our one Senate item. We are pleased to be of assistance in this project. Let me ask Anthony if you've got any questions about it.
I do not.
Very good. Well, then I will ask if there are any comments or questions on the item from the public. Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion, please, Anthony, to approve it, or to move it.
Moved.
Thank you very much. I'll second it. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Good. The motion carries, and the Rockland Independent Living Center working capital funding can proceed. Thank you very much, Glenn, for presenting that.
Thank you.
And now we're going to go actually back up to Western New York, check in again with our friend and colleague Mike Ball, who works obviously in our Western New York office out of Buffalo. Mike, you're going to do this Western New York Sustainable Business Roundtable. Are you not?
I am.
Well, why don't you walk us through this one? And by the way, Mike, just as a personal note, are you in the office today?
I am not. Our office was closed today.
It remains closed because of the snow. And where do you live?
So I live in the northern section of the city, which
so you're
spared.
Yeah,
we were
you're spared the worst. Yeah, you're not in some place like, West Seneca.
No, I'm not. Many of our colleagues are, though, in those southern southern suburbs that really got hit by much of the snow. So, no, thankfully I'm not digging out quite as extensively as they are.
Well, please, as they dig their way out and eventually over the next few days make their way back to work, please give them our regards.
I will.
Best wishes. And in the meantime, thank you to you for, despite the bad weather and our office being closed, calling in for our board meeting this morning to present these items. So we go back to you now for another item, this one, the Sustainable Business Roundtable. Why don't you tell us what it's about?
Okay, great. Thank you. So the directors are being requested to authorize the corporation to accept a grant and enter into a grant agreement with the United States Environmental Protection Agency, or the U.S. EPA, and authorize the corporation to enter into a funding agreement with the County of Erie, which will require the county to be responsible for all aspects of program implementation and oversight related to that grant. In October of this year, the Division of Pollution Prevention of the U.S. EPA announced grant awards for its Pollution Prevention Grant Program. The grants provide funding to state entities only to support local pollution prevention and sustainability programs. Empire State Development, on behalf of Erie County and the Business Roundtable, was awarded a grant of $179,630 to assist in the implementation of the Western New York Sustainable Business Roundtable, which is a collaboration of businesses in Western New York with oversight and assistance provided by the Erie County Department of Environment and Planning. The goal of the roundtable is to create a more sustainable and resilient region by assisting the private sector in meeting sustainability goals such as developing pollution prevention plans, reducing solid waste and pollution, and optimizing the use of energy and materials. Erie County has a successful track record of working with the U.S. EPA for more than 20 years, and so they will lead the work plan implementation for the grant. The grant funds will be used by Erie County to hire staff and support the roundtable functions, and will provide the members, those private sector members, with qualified consultants to help them with environmental assessments, to create and implement plans for pollution prevention, and to help with their other sustainability endeavors. So the roundtable will foster collaborations that enable those private sector member businesses to develop and act on sustainability goals, increase profitability, and promote healthy communities. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Mike, thank you. Well, it's a very interesting project, and it's not every day we get to consider as directors accepting a grant from somebody else, so we always like that, and this makes sense. Sounds like a very good project. Anthony, any questions?
No questions.
All right, thank you. Any questions or comments from the public on this item? Hearing none, I'll ask please for a motion for its approval then. Anthony?
Move.
Thank you very much. I'll second it. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you again. Any opposed? No opposition, so the motion carries. Mike, thank you so much for, again, despite the terrible, really, extreme weather of Western New York, for being part of this meeting today and keeping these important projects moving forward. Appreciate your participation. Very good. We'll come back down here to warmer New York City, check in with Michael Evans and Sarah St. Amand, who are going to present an item related to Moynihan Station, specifically the Moynihan Station Civic and Land Use Improvement Project. So, Michael and Sarah, good morning.
Good morning, Kenneth. I'm just going to start off. This regards the mortgage for the Farley building, which was part of the purchase of the building in 2007. But before we get into that, I just wanted to give the directors just a quick update on the project. Things are going very well. Phase 1 is now more than halfway through construction, and we have 90% of the steel for the new concourse now in place. All of the steel will be in by the end of January. We remain on schedule, on budget. For anyone walking past the beautiful Farley building, you can see cranes and construction workers there every day. It's a great progress. Also, over the past few months, we've really re-energized efforts to advance the rest of the project with tremendous support from ESD as well, especially Margaret Tobin and Dan Petroff in ESD Finance, and Joe Chan, Sarah St. Amand, and Tom Conoscenti with ESD Real Estate, who have been working with me and with our lenders on the item that we are presenting today, which is a rollover of the mortgage on the Farley building for another 2 years, and an increase in the amount of the mortgage to allow us to tackle some significant deferred maintenance in the building, and also to advance some early action capital work that will speed and the delivery of the next phase of the project, and also save the corporation, MSDC, significant funds over time as we undertake some of this work early on. Sarah has been working with me and with the other people that I mentioned, with the lenders, and is going to talk about some of the details of the financing.
Great. Thanks, Michael. As Michael mentioned, we're here seeking approval from the directors to extend our financing and increase the total debt amount in order to advance construction. Terms of the facility will be largely the same as the original facility. It will be a 2-year financing with a fixed interest rate of 4.2%. The total amount of debt will include the initial loan amount of $75 million plus capitalized interest through the term of the deal, for a total of $109 million, and an additional $40 million to pay for the additional works. The loan will amortize with $250,000 principal repayments due semi-annually, and the security package will remain largely the same, with a first mortgage lien on Farley, which includes the transfer of development rights. The loan can be prepaid in whole or in part at any point, and we would expect to prepay the facility upon execution of a long-term lease for the development of Farley. And finally, the project, this extension won't require any further environmental action as it's included in the original EIS and SECRA findings. Happy to take any questions.
Sarah, Michael, thank you very much. It's a very important action to just keep things moving forward and keep our financing in place for things we need to do at Moynihan. So, again, we appreciate this. Anthony, any questions from you on this proposal?
Nope.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments from the public on this item related to Moynihan Station and its financing? Hearing none, I'll ask please for a motion for its approval.
Moved.
Thank you. I will second it. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Anthony. Any opposition? I should have asked that. Don't hear any of that. And so the motion carries, and your plan for the extended financing facility is therefore approved, Michael and Sarah. And thank you for your presentation this morning. I look forward to more, as we move ahead, more and more activity with respect to Moynihan Station. Very good. Lauren is going to present an item which has to do with the establishment of a pre-qualified list of appraisers. Directors will note we've got a couple of administrative items related to real estate development projects, and I hope, Anthony, I know you're pressed for time, but we're going to try to get these done quickly because these are operational matters that if the board approves, our staff can keep projects moving forward that are actually right now quite active and need our support. So, Lauren, good morning.
Good morning.
Again.
Directors are being asked to approve a list of pre-qualified real and personal property appraisers. The corporation requires independent appraisals in the context of large economic development projects, acquiring and disposing of real and personal property, condemnation proceedings, and workouts. The pre-qualified list saves staff in each project 2 or more months that's normally needed to conduct a solicitation, perform the necessary review, and formulate a recommendation. The current list, which the board approved in July 2010, will expire next month. The solicitation for this list ran in the contract reporter in August. 12 firms responded, and staff included 10 of those firms in the list attached to the board materials. Of those 10, 2 are certified MWBE firms, and also out of the 10 firms on the list, 7 of them were on the list approved by the board in 2010.
Very good.
Take any questions.
Thank you for keeping this up to date and adding appropriate firms to the list. Is there a good selection, or Lauren, in your view, are a good number of the firms certified MWBE firms?
Yes, I think so. I think it's comparable to the list that was approved in 2010.
Good. That's important, especially with the governor's commitment to a new and enhanced goal for MWBE procurements in the state of 30%. So we need to make sure all of our pre-qualified lists give us the opportunity to do that, to spread the work around and fulfill that goal. Very good. Anthony, let me. Any questions that you might have on the item that Lauren has presented?
Nope.
Questions or comments, perhaps from the public? All right. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion for its approval.
Move.
Thank you, Anthony. I will second it. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Doesn't seem to be that way. So the motion carries. Lauren, thank you very much. We approve your new expanded pre-qualified list of appraisers. We're going to check in now with Destiny Burns. Destiny is going to present an item. We're seeking our authorization for ESD to enter into a contract for general project plan monitoring services in connection with the Columbia University Educational Mixed-Use Development Land Use Improvement and Civic Project, otherwise commonly we call it Columbia Manhattanville. Destiny, good morning.
Good morning. The directors are requested for authorization to enter a contract with Landair for GPP monitoring and compliance services for the Columbia University Educational Mixed-Use Development Project. The project is the expansion of Columbia University into the Manhattanville section of West Harlem. It's being constructed in stages for a period of approximately 25 years and is estimated to create approximately 14,000 construction jobs and 6,000 new jobs at Columbia. 2 buildings at the campus have been erected thus far. The first is the Jerome L. Green Science Center building, which will be home to the Mind Brain Behavior Initiative. It's 9 stories tall and approximately 450,000 square feet. It's scheduled to open next year. Columbia signed a restrictive declaration binding it to the GPP obligations. As required by ESD's GPP, Columbia will develop up to 16 new buildings, primarily for academic, research uses, and university housing, construct approximately 2 million square feet in a multi-level below-grade facility that will connect and support the facilities, create new open spaces accessible to the general public, and implement community benefits, including educational, employment, and health outreach. ESD's role in the project is to assist Columbia with project assemblage, oversee development, and compliance of the GPP obligations. ESD is providing no financing for the project. It will be funded entirely by Columbia, including this contract. The role of the monitor will be to assist ESD in overseeing Columbia's compliance with the project obligations, including construction milestones and community benefits. ESD initially appointed Spectrum Personnel Communications as GPP monitor back in 2012. That contract expired in June of this year. The current monitor opportunity was advertised in the September contract reporter. Landair submitted the most comprehensive proposal covering the entire required scope of service. And pursuant to his proposal, Landair will manage the overall monitoring, diversity compliance, and construction oversight. Landair's subconsultant CJAM will monitor the community benefits in collaboration with Landair staff and under Landair's principal oversight. Landair is a New York State certified WBE, and CJAM is both a certified MWBE. Landair has a strong record of compliance oversight of local Upper Manhattan and Harlem projects. Its current client list includes Upper Manhattan Empowerment Zone, ESD's 42nd Street project, Lincoln Center redevelopment, and West Harlem Group Assistance. The contract term will be for a period of 1 year, not to exceed $275,000. ESD will have the option to renew 2 times for a term of 1 year each.
Destiny, thank you. And I think our prior contract had the same provision. It was renewable after it expired in July, and the vendor chose not to renew, rather not to apply, I should say. So that structure is similar to what we've had in place. Thank you very much. It's a very important service, in this case for the Columbia Manhattanville project, and the vendor seems highly qualified, and you've described this in a very helpful way, Destiny, so thank you. Anthony, any questions for Destiny on her proposal to hire Landair for these monitoring services?
No.
Good. Thank you very much. I don't have any, so let me ask if there are any questions or comments from the public on the matter. Hearing none, I'll ask, please, Anthony, for a motion to approve it.
Moved.
Thank you very much. I'll second it, and all in favor, I will say aye.
Aye.
Perfect. Motion. Any objections or abstentions? Hearing none, the motion carries. Destiny, thank you very much, and we look forward to working with Landair, and at some point perhaps we'll have a reason to bring them before the board, if one of their reports or updates, and the directors can get to know them and their good work on this project. Thank you. All right. We're going to go to Tom Conoscenti, who works with Joe Chan and our real estate development team. Tom's going to present an item related to the Creedmoor Psychiatric Center in Queens. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning. Directors are requested to authorize the corporation to enter into a contract for a market and financial feasibility study and to take related actions. The study will assist ESD in preparing and evaluating different reuse and redevelopment options for up to 72 acres of surplus state-owned property at the Creedmoor Psychiatric Center in Queens Village. In September, we issued an RFP to selected firms on our pre-qualified real estate and planning consultant list. We received 3 proposals and interviewed all 3 teams. Staff is recommending that we enter into a contract with BJH Advisors. BJH Advisors is a certified New York State MWBE firm. The contract amount is not to exceed $125,000, inclusive of fees, expenses, and contingencies. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tom. Anthony, do you have any questions for Tom on this proposal to hire BJH Advisors to work on this feasibility study for Creedmoor?
I do not.
I think Tom has presented it in a clear way. The board materials back all that up, and so neither do I. And given that, I'll ask if there are any questions or comments from the public on it. Hearing none, I'll ask, please, for a motion for its approval, Anthony.
Moved.
Thank you. I will second it, and I will ask for a vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Good. Any abstentions? Any objections? Hearing none, the motion carries. Tom, thank you for the presentation. We hope this firm is helpful to you as we seek to develop this really incredible piece of property that the state owns in the borough of Queens here in New York City. Thank you very much. Anthony, I want to thank you for, I know you've had demands on your schedule this morning, and we tried to get this business covered because we couldn't do it without you. I mean that really actually factually and as a matter of law. So thank you for being with us. And we have two quick items. If you can stay, that's great. But the items remaining don't require a vote. I'm going to proceed.
Okay. I do have to run, but thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Say hello. Say hi to our friend Mr. Losky.
I will.
There are two information items on the agenda today. No votes required on either of the items. The first item relates to ESD's budget variance reports. We present this to directors at almost every meeting. There will not be a presentation on the item. It's in the board book. The material's there. Staff is available to answer questions that directors have with regard to this item at any time. Any comments regarding that, Margaret, you want to make since you're here and since you're great, the work of your great team that produces the reports?
No surprises.
You're always good.
Always good.
Thank you. Now, we're going to do the second informational item. And Joe Chan is going to, and actually let me say something before we get into this, Joe. I know you're going to introduce it, and we have representatives of community organizations in the project area of Atlantic Yards, and that's what this next item is about. But I do want to say to Peter and friends that you probably noticed that we lost Anthony because of time constraints, and we started this meeting at 9:30, and we had about 90 minutes of all these other items. And I want to say that, just to be clear and on the record, you've gotten me, but two other directors had to leave. But as a public meeting, this is being webcast. Everything is recorded by, I would call him Mark, but his name is Mark, by our trusty stenographer. It's all a matter of public record, and we send it to the directors who weren't able to attend or had to leave early. Having said that, if you are more comfortable coming back at the December meeting because you physically want to see the directors in these chairs, I want to accommodate you, so it's really up to you.
No, we appreciate you putting this on the agenda. You did need to do this, so we appreciate it, and I'm sure we're here. We want
for Joyce, Director Seifert, for a series of directors that I've talked to and that are familiar with the project, including some that have toured the site, I know they wanted to be here. We had a committee meeting the other day, and they just couldn't because of their own demands of their schedules. But understand that everything that you share with us, we're going to share with them.
We have at least some of us have the Block Association has a written text. So
yeah, perfect. Well, again, it's a public meeting, but I just want to give you that option because I wish they wanted to be here, they just couldn't, and I apologize for that. Very good. Well, then moving to this next item, which is the last item on our agenda this morning. Joe Chan will present an item regarding the Atlantic Yards Land Use Improvement and Civic Project. The item is for our director's information. No vote is required regarding this item at this time. So, Joe, good morning.
Good morning. So, do I need to steal your microphone? Or
no, you can pick it. They'll pick it up. You've got a microphone right there.
Sounds good. So, I have hopefully a brief update on three major areas of activity within the Atlantic Yards project. First, an update on construction. Next, an update on eminent domain. And finally, an update on the creation of the Atlantic Yards Community Development Corporation. Starting with construction, the joint venture between Forest City Ratner and Greenland is anticipated to close on financing in early December with the New York City Housing Development Corporation and break ground mid-December on a building that is now known as 535 Carlton, used to be referred to as B14. B14 will start construction in late December or early quarter one of 2015. Actually, let me go back for a second. So B35 is getting financing from the Housing Development Corporation, and 550 Vanderbilt will also start construction concurrently. 535 Carlton is 100% affordable. 550 Vanderbilt is 100% market rate. Both buildings will be located on Block 1129, which, as reported yesterday at the Quality of Life meeting, is expected to be an active construction area through 2018. Work continues on the permanent rail yard and west portal to the Atlantic Avenue LIRR station. This work will ultimately result in more efficient movement of Long Island Railroad trains in and out of the station and enhanced storage for train cars. The green roof construction on the arena has started and will be completed in mid-2015. Also, an update on Building B2, which is the modular building, which is 50% affordable, 50% market rate. Many of you have probably read in the press that Forest City Ratner Company Modular and Skanska Modular LLC announced on Tuesday that FCRC Modular LLC will purchase the ownership interest of Skanska and their jointly owned modular factory business, which is located in the Brooklyn Navy Yard. And the new company, Forest City Modular, will do the construction themselves. Construction is anticipated to start towards the end of this calendar year, beginning of the next. Since Forest City Ratner just came to this agreement to take over the factory, they need probably 6 to 8 weeks to ramp up and restart construction. The joint venture also has site control for B3 and full construction for a building known as B3, not yet named with an address, and full construction is expected to resume in 2015. In terms of eminent domain, ESD took title to 9 properties as part of the second phase of condemnation, 5 of which were commercial, 4 of which were residential. ESD has retained the Cornerstone Group as its relocation firm. They are working with residents and businesses on finding viable relocation options or viable and comparable housing within the area and within Brooklyn. Cornerstone is also assisting businesses occupying the commercial buildings, which are really signage and cell tower businesses, in finding new space near the project area. So that's the update on eminent domain. And finally, the Atlantic Yards Community Development Corporation timeline. As many of you know, this summer, the governor and ESD committed to the creation of a new subsidiary for Empire State Development called the Atlantic Yards Community Development Corporation. We committed to creating this entity within 6 months of the commitment, and we are well on our way. Just some milestones for the directors and for the public to be aware of. As of this week, we will have filed our certificate of incorporation with the New York Secretary of State. Robin, have we filed that yet?
Not quite, but it will be done as you say.
By the end of the week?
Yes.
Okay.
That'd be tomorrow. Just to be clear, okay? It's Thursday, people.
We got two work days.
All right.
The Atlantic Yards Community Development Corporation will be added to our corporate insurance, directors and officers liability insurance policy relevant to the directors. The appointment process for the 14 directors will start in December. And just as a reminder, 9 of those directors are appointed by the governor. No more than 5 of the governor's directors can be employees of New York State. The other 4 will be members of the general public. There are also 5 seats appointed by the mayor, the council speaker, the New York City Council speaker, the state assembly speaker, the Senate majority leader, and the Brooklyn Borough president. It's anticipated now that the week of December 15th will be the first meeting of the Atlantic Yards Community Development Corporation. And just as a reminder, the AYCDC will serve as an advisory committee to the ESD Board of Directors, will be responsible for considering and reviewing proposed changes to the general project plan and agreements, advising ESD accordingly in advance of votes, monitoring developer compliance with all public commitments, something that was discussed yesterday at the Quality of Life meeting. Is going to be an ongoing issue of concern and priority as we move through the construction process. Monitoring and reporting on other quality of life issues, evaluating on the quality and effectiveness of the monitoring services, making recommendations to ESD on how to best expedite developer responsiveness, assuring effective communication between the developer, government agencies, and officials. Kenneth, last night at the Quality of Life meeting, we announced a commitment to, after every Quality of Life meeting that happens within the community, reporting back formally to the Atlantic Yards Community Development Corporation on the issues that were raised and the priorities that were stated, and developing recommendations as they relate to the project. At the first board meeting, bylaws will be adopted, officers appointed, project updates will be provided, relevant staff reports, and there will be a period for ample public comment. The governor's office is currently reviewing recommendations. Yesterday at the Quality of Life meeting, we, again said, any recommendations can be sent to Nicole Jordan on our staff. And ESD anticipates hiring one full-time dedicated project director who will help support ESD staff on the project. So that's...
Thank you, Joe. That's helpful. And I noticed the in the posting for the staff director of the new sub went out this morning. I think our HR team already announced that job. So hopefully
it was reported on the Atlantic Yards report.
You didn't think Norman was going to miss that, did you?
Of course not.
But no, that's good because it.
That's right.
Now there's an idea. No, seriously, that's just good to keep that moving forward. Joe, I wasn't able to make this, unfortunately, the meeting last night, but I had a question for Jane regarding the green roof, and this is a little bit personal, but I just want to have you or Marion or somebody check this out because I'm just curious.
Yeah.
I mean, no doubt the green roof, is a good thing, but I don't know how this works, but there's a very big crane on Atlantic Avenue next to Barclays, which to me looked like is that for working on the green roof? Well, here's my question, and not to debate this too much now.
The short answer is yes.
But I dropped my daughter off last Saturday afternoon in Fort Greene at a friend's house. Never mind the mistake of driving, but I did, for other reasons. But the traffic on Atlantic Avenue going westbound by Barclays was pretty bad. This was sort of also a Saturday afternoon, 5 o'clock, whatever. And it looked to me like that crane forces eastbound traffic either out of a lane or, I don't know. But is that crane there for the green roof? It sounds like maybe. And if it has that traffic impact, how soon is that going to be? You said 2015? When does that get resolved? Because it was a mess.
Completion is slated for 2015. This actually was an issue that came up yesterday at the Quality of Life meeting.
Okay.
There are members or staff from the Department of Transportation. There's one dedicated downtown Brooklyn person named Chris Rones who was there. NYPD was there as well. That is, traffic on Atlantic Avenue and the adjacent streets is obviously an issue, but specifically, the traffic on Atlantic was cited as an issue yesterday. Something that DOT and PD was going to take a look at, but in terms of the actual crane being moved, I don't know.
Well, maybe that doesn't happen until it's done.
Yeah,
all I'm saying
but
is
it would
be good to know. Yeah.
I was going to ask.
You don't know. I wanted to throw again. I was going to ask this question last night, but I couldn't get.
The crane is going to be there until May 2015.
Till May.
Yeah.
All right. But everyone's fully aware of the impacts that I assume that.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's a tough intersection when you hit Flatbush anyway without the crane.
Well, there's
That's
other
all.
work occurring.
Yeah.
It's part of that. The barriers that are installed because there's the tunneling under Atlantic Avenue to connect to the station and
Right.
replacing a water main.
Right.
So.
Okay, I will no longer when I take Ginger to Sarah's house, I will not drive her anymore. I learned my lesson.
But just to clarify, the crane siting and the crane's approval, obviously had to go through the Department of Buildings and Transportation, and clearly there are concerns, but the siting of the crane and the maintenance and protection of traffic plan was shared with the community in advance.
Right. Oh, I'm sure it was, and my sort of personal experience is irrelevant. I was going to ask this question last night because I noticed that what I thought was an impact from it. Again, at the end of the day, the green roof is supposed to address a sound problem, among other things, right? And that's so the solution come May, Sam, is a positive one, right? And in the meantime, there's that, at least to me, that impact, as I noticed it. Well, Joe, thank you for covering all three areas in your update: the housing and affordable housing, the eminent domain, and the status of the creation of the subsidiary. So, in asking the directors if there are any questions on I asked myself about my own. So I have other questions, but I think some of them are more, I can just get my information from Sam and you, Joe, and I don't want to take up any more time this morning because we have guests here. I understand that we have folks here, attendees in the meeting, who wish to make comments on this item, and I would like to reiterate sort of the logistics of this. I see we've got everyone here knows how it works. We allocate 2 minutes for individual speakers, 4 minutes for individuals who represent an organization. And again, there's a clock on the wall to help measure that. We ask for one representative per group, when the case of someone speaking on behalf of a group. And I think, as our participants know, this is an informational session. So while, of course, we welcome comments and suggestions, this is really just for them to share that information. There's not a kind of question and answer period in these meetings the way they're set up. Now, Destiny, I think, has a sign-in sheet, and is going to call up individuals in the order. Usually we do this just in the order in which they've signed up this morning, so they can come before us and make their comments. So, Destiny, thank you, and to Sam, I should say, and certainly to Marion Phillips and Nicole and the team, thanks, and Joe, indeed, yourself and others, thanks for your good work on this, and we look forward to these comments this morning. They're very important to us. So, Destiny, why don't you begin to invite our guests forward?
Our first speaker is Ilsa Kay. Hi.
Yeah, if Ms. Ken, if you wait, we're going to set up a microphone up there. Well, this is broadcast. It's webcast, and then we have recordings. And Mark never misses a word, but he tapes these things just in case, right, Mark? So he can get the transcript absolutely right. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Ilsa Kay. I own a townhouse directly across from 535 Carlton. Speaking to you today about my concerns about the structural engineering of my 1870 townhouse and my other neighbors on the block. I've spoken to 3 different structural engineers who are very concerned about the ongoing construction. My house was never designed for this kind of impact. I have a dirt basement, and the bearing walls are fieldstone and brick. I've asked to have Thomas Tomasetti, the engineer who's doing the monitoring, do a quid pro quo and give me a copy of their engineering report, and that has been denied to me. I'd like some transparency with that. I'd like to know what the baseline for the monitoring is. Is it during weekdays, during the weekend? I understand that Landmarks is the only agency that has any oversight over this, and that the limitation is 0.5. But even 0.5 over a 10-year history, our buildings were not designed to withstand. The solutions from the 3 different of the 5 engineers, structural engineers that I've spoken to, is to have a comprehensive geotechnical survey done, because Long Island, including Brooklyn, is built on landfill of sand and dirt, and it's over 140 years old. So without a comprehensive geotechnical survey, these buildings could collapse. And it really depends on that survey and my neighbors on either side of me. So speaking to the liaison people at Forest City Ratner, they've told me that I'm not entitled to any transparency, and I'd like you guys to correct that.
Can I ask you a question? When you said the .5, you used the number .5. What does that refer to?
That refers to the technical term that of the vibration. Of the vibration per minute is .5. Is the only way landmarks can control the construction in a historic district. So this is really a David and Goliath situation because they're about to break ground on a super block and dig down and excavate for whatever they need over an 11-year history. There is, what these engineers are telling me is that my building most likely can't withstand it, but without that geotechnical survey where they're going to do a soil sample to tell me how strong the soil is underneath my building, and it's oxidized over 140 years, we're really it's an unfair situation.
And just so I can picture it, you're on Carlton Avenue.
Right.
Your house
Between Dean and Pacific.
looks across the street at 1129.
I am the
So you're across the street from the site.
Yeah.
Got it.
There's
Okay.
about, I think, 8 houses on our block, townhouses. 2 are new, the rest are all historic.
Yeah, no, I know the block.
So some buildings have already underpinned and undercut. Mine has not, and it would be a cost to me of approximately $50,000. I am going to have my own engineer come in and do a complete survey, but I'd also like to have a copy of Forest City Ratner's engineer's report, and they also don't want to share their vibration monitoring data telling me that I'm really too stupid to understand. So I'll take that bet, but I like it.
Right.
And I can always have it reviewed by another monitoring company, or they themselves can explain the guidelines, what to look for. But we need the baseline, we need the geotechnical survey, and we need your assistance in that.
Okay.
Well, so if I can just ask a couple of clarifying questions. So the Thornton Tomasetti report is a Forest City Commission report, and that's what you're asking for a copy?
Right. In order for them, I need to give them access, and they've told me that I can't have access to their report and a copy of it.
Okay.
And that's just unfair. There's no transparency. And if they want us to trust the greater community at large that oversees this, which is you guys, then there should be no problem with giving me a copy of their report. I mean, I'll get one myself so that if I see a crack or if something's happening, I can call them and say, look, here's the beginning picture, here's the end picture. And the other thing is the report should be comprehensive. I was told by the 3 different engineers that I spoke to, it should be about 150 to 200 pictures of the entire building, from the cellar on up to the roof, the sides, and the back. And then the crack monitors as well. We should be able to have that data that comes in, and the vibration monitoring data as well. And they're not.
Did you have a vibration monitor placed on your property?
I don't have anything as of yet, and I would like to comply with their recommendation, but they have to play fair and be transparent, and I want a copy of that report. And I'll get my own for comparison, because if something happens, I have to be able to go to court and protect my investment, my home.
Right.
And we're all in the same boat that way. And the other issue is we really would like to have some green space across the street from us, and it's, I think, extremely dangerous to have a building built up to the sidewalk and then it's just bringing in 2,200 more people and traffic in a historic district, and these are narrow sidewalks. It's just poor planning, in my humble opinion. So if you guys can do something about setting back the building and finding out about the original envelope, what was presented last night in the quality of life meeting. I wasn't there, but Peter and some of the others can discuss that. And that's really it. We look forward to working with you, but we would like some transparency and accountability, and some of these questions answered.
Good. Thanks for coming this morning. Thank you for your comments. Destiny, who's our next speaker?
Elizabeth Martin.
Good morning. I also live in the same block, right across from block 1129, where they are putting up the new building, 535 Carlton Avenue, which is completely, to my understanding, is financed by our taxes, and also the land was purchased also by our taxes. And we also, as a block, I am the only driver in that block, so I do the legwork for the whole block. That the block composed a letter about 2 months ago, and everybody signed it, and that letter was sent to you, Ken, and we never heard back anything. In this letter, we pointed out based upon what we learned through the newspaper, that the new building, 535, affordable housing building, was going to be built against the sidewalk, destroying the evergreens that we ourselves planted on that sidewalk with a city grant, and also getting our own monies together to buy the additional plants that we needed. And then later, Forest City rather completed when they tore down some of the buildings. So they finished the road that we started planting. And according to the plans, all those green is going to disappear because they want to put the new building right against the sidewalk. And at last meeting, I brought up the subject to the representatives of Forest City Ratner, and they told me point blank that there's no way they are going to move the building, which could be done because nothing is done so far. So move a building back by 5 feet to have a planting in front of, between the building wall and the sidewalk would create no problem because there's plenty of space, and with the compute, there's no modification needed to the actual building. And they told us that there's no way they will do it unless they are directed by Albany, meaning the governor. So I am here for the entire block, asking you to consider, because it affects the entire block. The building across the street is going to be much, much taller than any of the buildings in that neighborhood. Our side is a historic district. Our street is considered, you can check it in city records, it's a narrow street. And putting this big, tall building across the street, which we welcome because we need housing, affordable housing. But it could be pushed back, there is room, and it could give us breathing space. That sidewalk is used by babies and joggers and people. They are used to have the greens that we planted over, I think, 6 to 8 years ago, and we have been taking care of it. Now it's all that is gone, and will not be replaced unless you help us. And we are here to ask you to please check into this and give us that green space between the sidewalk and the new building.
Thank you. No, we certainly will check into it. Destiny, who's our next speaker?
Tracy Collins.
Yeah, that's me. I'd like to let Peter and Alec go before me, though. I think they're right after me.
Who's speaking on behalf of the street?
So we have a statement. It's roughly 4 to 5 minutes long, and so we're going to split it between 2 individuals.
Okay.
And then Tracy has his own.
Okay, great. Thanks.
So first off, we really want to thank you for your patience and for putting this on the schedule. We really do appreciate it. So we'd like to see this become in some way a regular piece of the oversight structure currently being developed. What we'd like to say may not always be welcome, but our aim is to help you improve. Why do we appear here again and again at these meetings? We have to. Construction is about to accelerate the site, and we do not trust that you want to provide good oversight. In fact, we think you have long known you do not do a good job. The state is supposed to be our advocate, but instead it has been up to us to show you sometimes obvious flaws in your studies, unacceptable shortfalls in your monitoring and verification, and apparent patterns of potential co-option in the relationship between the developer and those overseeing the work on our behalf. Our health and our property depend on the job you do. Instead, you make it our job. We've experienced 8.5 years of construction already and should expect 11 more from cradle to college for some of the kids in our community. In order for this new subsidiary to be effective at all, we need you to want to move toward accountability and transparency. We need you to want to do it. For our part, our aim has long been to improve the job you do. Our decision to leave Prospect Heights Neighborhood Development Council, which we discussed the last time we were here, was triggered by our belief the agreement between Brooklyn Speaks, the developer, and the state insufficiently empowers the interests of the public, and does not meet our community's most pressing needs. We did not leave PHNDC to sue, and we have no plans to sue. If there are any questions, we are happy to continue this conversation in an open way. As an organization situated entirely in the area the state determines is most impacted by the project's implementation, we recommend a candidate we feel best addresses the priority of those in our community. More than half of the comments you received during the most recent SEIS review period were from our area, and we all said virtually the same thing. There's a problem with compliance with environmental commitments, and we do not think the state and Forest City Ratner approach oversight in good faith. That is why our block association proposed environmental expert and professor Jamie Stein, director of Pratt Institute's MS in Sustainable Environmental Systems, to be appointed to the AYCDC subsidiary. To our knowledge, our process was unique in this appointment process. Ms. Stein's potential recommendation was the subject of a public community meeting, and following the strong support of our block association members, we are grateful to the chair of Community Board 8 for taking the time to speak to her. She is motivated, has access to resources, experience analyzing monitoring systems, and has worked to build trust between community and oversight in the past. No appointment is a cure-all. We know trust is a two-way street.
Thanks, Peter.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Alec Duffy, and I live at 618 Dean Street, which is right across the footprint of the proposed Pacific Park. And I wanted to thank you for allowing me to speak this morning. Forgive me if I'm a bit nervous. I don't do a lot of public speaking, so I'm going to go off script for just a moment to just say that I'm coming to this this fight, I guess, a little bit late, and therefore I'm coming at it with some naivete. I admit that. That imagines that a government body overseeing such a huge project would take the concerns of its directly affected citizens under advisement, privileging the people over a corporation. And forgive me, I know that there's some of the biggest issues around the Pacific Park Atlantic Yards complex have been those of transparency over the last several years. And so forgive me for paraphrasing Star Wars here, but help us ESDC, you are our only hope at this point. And at this point, there are a few remaining ways which this can happen, specifically reference this board. And that would be to allow the board member to be at the table for a lot of meetings that previously have been kind of behind closed doors. And that would be, for example, between ESDC staff and the state's environmental monitor, currently HDR, the ESDC staff and the owner's representative, and the ESDC staff and the developer. Making the supporting materials for these meetings available to the board, including photography, paperwork, data, etc. And also at meetings of the city and state agencies as well. And create penalties for the on-site create penalties for the developer if the on-site environmental monitor provides information that the developer has been deficient or incomplete. And a clear set of protocols for public disclosure if the ESDC staff working with the report are unsatisfied with the quality of the information provided. And making public the scope of the work of the OEM, which has been reviewed by the ESDC and can be released now, and that the president of the ESDC would release guidelines and goals that they've given the ESDC execs and staff about public disclosure related to environmental oversight. Just very quickly, I run a small arts center in Brooklyn, in Clinton Hill, and to be a nonprofit arts center, there's all sorts of conflict of interest, things that we have to fill out and submit. And I would just ask that the same principles be applied to this, in that already we've seen that in terms of the oversight that the developer has provided, a lot of those, there's a conflict of interest. Thornton Tomasetti assesses the vibrations, but also works in the arena as a designer. Sam Schwartz assesses the traffic management program, but also has a contract for pedestrian crosswalk managers. Remedial, the new OEM, apparently shares employees in a building with GRU, who are, Greenland Forest City Ratner partners have identified as Forest City Ratner's owners' representatives. And so we would just ask finally that making public the relationship of the developer to the firms involved with monitoring and reviewing the ways that the RFPs are issued by the state related to monitoring. Our goal is to help improve this process, and we are entirely dependent on the oversight that you provide. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mr. Duffy. And just what's the name of your arts organization? I'm
It's
curious.
called Jack. It's a performing arts venue in Clinton Hill. It's a small one, about 50 seats.
Great. Thank you. Thank you both. Destiny, do we have other speakers?
Tracy Collins was the last one.
Great.
Good morning. Thanks again for having us. I live on Dean Street between Carlton and 6th Avenue. I've been there since before Atlantic Yards broke ground, or now Pacific Park, and some of you obviously have known the struggle from the beginning, and I guess I'm here today to emphasize that we're at a critical juncture. It's been a long time coming to have sort of an independent oversight board on this project. We've been asking for it since day one, and it looks like it's going to happen. Now, I guess it's critical that the people who sit on that board really want to make it work. And by making it work means that the board, answers to the governor, who really answers to us, the people, the taxpayers. So far, we get the impression that the SDC answers to the developer. And I would really stress that we really need to change that perception, and the way you change that is by having transparency, accountability, make the meetings open. The board members can come and sit in to talks between the developer and the state. That's critical. The other thing is support for the board. I think you said there's one full-time staff member, which seems wholly inadequate for a project of how many billions of dollars and 22 acres and how many units of housing. An on-site monitor that's there every day that the community can go to when there's something going on in the moment, have them see it, find out what's going on, hold the developer accountable. So Peter and Alec went through specific items that you can do to make it work, and it's critical that we get it right. We don't have a lot of time. They're breaking ground. They're, taking over properties in the domain, and it's late, but hopefully, it's not too late to make this project work for us, the people in the neighborhood, in Brooklyn, in New York. Thank you.
Tracy, thanks. Thanks for coming this morning for your comments. Destiny, do we have any other speakers signed up?
No one else signed up.
Okay. Well, if there aren't any other speakers this morning on this item, this is the only the remaining informational item that we had. And I again want to reiterate to all of the speakers, including some that may have had to leave, that this has all been appropriately recorded and will be shared with other directors. Members who have, again, wanted to be here and have questions about this as work, I think, as Tracy said it well, kind of intensifies. December is going to be a busy month. January next year, 2015, will be a busy month. So in terms of the formation and the launch of the new subsidiary, certainly not a moment too soon, right? Lots going on. So I look forward to, say this personally, but also I think really our board of directors here at ESD looks forward to working not just with the Dean Street Block Association, but other community organizations and individuals in the community going on into the new year through the CDC, through the Quality of Life Committee, through interactions like this at the board level, to have as robust and frequent and effective conversation and dialogue as we can moving forward, because there's a lot going on. In any event, thanks again to all of you who've come to our offices this morning to share your thoughts with us. There being no further comments regarding the Atlantic Yards information item, and there being no further business on our agenda this morning, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting, which I will make myself. So moved. I have the power to do that, so I will end the meeting. Thank you all for participating. Thanks for coming. For those of you who may not see, have a nice Thanksgiving.